Something is terribly wrong in our second grade classroom. The bell has rung. Students are beginning to stand up, and something is gnawing at me. I'm not quite sure what it is. Oh, Sister Teresa Claire, you forgot to give us the homework. I did not know how to keep my mouth shut. It's amazing that I lived through elementary school. I didn't really overcome my compulsive truth-telling until the summer between my freshman and sophomore years of college, when I applied for a job at a comedy club on Long Island called Chuckles. I thought waitressing at a comedy club would be kind of fun and a little sophisticated and a great way to make a lot of money that I needed for school. Now, I gotta tell you, looking back on it, Chuckles operated on the fine edge of the law. For example, our frozen daiquiris were made in a slushy machine with more grain alcohol than rum. And we were all paid cash in unmarked white envelopes. And every couple of weeks, the police would come by and get a brown paper bag from the bartenders. And even I knew that wasn't lunch. I was pretty clueless. But I didn't know that. I didn't know anything when I applied for the job. Mr. Sinatra, I'd be very reliable and a very, very hard worker, and I'd be grateful for the opportunity, sir. How old are you, sweetheart? He said to me. Now, I was 18. I probably looked about 12. And I could see he was hesitating. Mr. Sinatra, give me a chance. You can fire me if I screw up. Well, I could tell he wasn't completely convinced, but he told me to come in on Friday and ask for the head waitress, Jackie. And then he gave me the Chuckles uniform. Red suspenders and a shiny red bow tie. Yeah, it was the 80s. Well, when I met Jackie, I was in awe of her. She was maybe 10 years older than I was, a former PE teacher. She had this wild, frizzy blonde hair and a sunburnt face and just this larger-than-life personality. When she saw me, she clapped me on the back that first night and she said, "Stick with me, kid. You'll be fine." Now, Chuckles was a very busy place. It had 3 shows at 6, 9, and midnight, Friday through Sunday. And Jackie was just amazing. I could barely keep up with her that first weekend. She would wiggle her way between these tight tables, and she'd get the customers to order drinks or some food. And if the comic heckled her, well, she heckled right back. And the place would go crazy. I mean, everybody loved her. She was sort of the star at Chuckles. That first weekend, she even gave me some tables, made sure I didn't screw up, and let me keep the tips. So I get home, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I count it out. It's nearly $100, more money than I've ever made in a single shift before. And I think in that moment, I have got to keep this job. I might have been clueless, but I wasn't stupid. And I knew that to survive at Chuckles, I had to keep my mouth shut. I had to pretend to know what was going on. So, when the young bus girl, who wasn't even married, told us she was knocked up, nothing. And I never asked anyone to explain to me any of the dirty jokes that I couldn't quite understand even after hearing them 9 times. About a month after I started there, one of my parties started to leave without paying. And the house rule at Chuckles was wait staff paid for any walkouts. And it was our job to process all the checks before the end of the last act. And I'd screwed up, and these folks were leaving. The room was emptying out, and there that check was just stuck on the table. I was dumbstruck. But Jackie, she picked it up, and she followed the crowd out, waving it, "Hey, assholes, pay up!" And she was Jackie, so they did. One steamy August night, at around 4 a.m., Jackie and I decided to grab a bite to eat after work, and we headed to the local diner. We were really exhausted. We smelled of beer and cigarettes, but we were ready to relax. I ordered a burger, and Jackie being Jackie, ordered liver and onions. Now, I had never seen liver and onions before, and I think it was sort of an unappetizing, greasy mess, but she just, dug into it, really excited, and I just leaned back and waited for her to tell me one of those exciting stories she had about her boyfriend, Garth, from Vancouver. Suddenly, I hear voices being raised from the other end of the diner, the only other table in the place. They're male voices, and I hear them say, "Look at that ugly bitch with straw for hair." Now, it took me a minute to realize that they were talking about Jackie. "Want to suck me off, Blondie?" Jackie put down her fork, oddly quiet. I could hear the rest of the guys at the table getting rowdier and saying really horrible things, and I saw Jackie, my protector, just blink back tears. Well, the waitress must have known something was coming down, so she brought us the check, and she brought us some styrofoam containers for our food. And we stumbled out into the parking lot, the guys' taunts following us. We get outside, and there, spotlit as if by a street light, was a shiny red Mustang convertible. The only other car in the lot. Shiny, pristine, the perfect Bratmobile. And Jackie picks up speed. She's opening her styrofoam container, and she is moving towards that car. All of her PE training must have come flooding back because she put that container straight at the convertible, and we watched it pinwheel towards the car. Liver and onions everywhere. Mashed potatoes, gravy, a perfect shot across the front seat. It was impressive. And then we heard a roar coming from the diner, and the guys are rushing out. And the guy that owned the car was ready to clock Jackie, and his friends were holding him back. And then, just like in the movies, 2 cop cars show up. And it's chaos. Jackie and I are surrounded by this scrum of cops and jocks, and one of the cops looked at me. I must have looked like the most clear-headed person there, and he said, "Hey, you with the bow tie, tell me what happened." So my Stolian cranberry buzz, it just slips away. My heart is starting to pound. I am anxious because I realize Jackie's going to get in a lot of trouble unless I do something I've never done before. I had to lie. "Oh, officers, we're so glad you're here. These gentlemen, they were chasing us, and we didn't know what they would do, and they went to grab my arm, and I don't know, the food just slipped." Now, they probably didn't believe me, but they let us go anyway. Jackie didn't have to pay a fine or a ticket. We just went our separate ways. So the next weekend, Jackie had taken this adventure and told it like it was some great funny story, and I was the hero. I learned a lot that summer. For instance, I learned the different meanings of the word blow. I also learned that telling the truth sometimes isn't the right thing to do. Thank you.